Just a friendly reminder before the video begins, you will hear two stories in this video and both have new updates. Now on to the first story. Obviously this comes off as a rich people problem. But up until 5 months ago I was still living in a 1-bedroom apartment working at a rather large supermarket retail store making $12 HR. And going to be paying off college debt until I was in my 60s. My fiancée is still working her nursing job, and we've been fully living together for 4 years. Some background into our relationship. We met 6 years ago. There were literally zero issues with us dating. When it came to some sort of conflict we sat down, explained both of our sides like adults, and generally fixed the problem. We've rarely gotten into arguments, and have the same end goals in life: children, grow old together, die be buried next to each other, and have fun whenever we can. I've always had an incredibly distant relationship with her parents. When she introduced me to them they both stated they didn't like me to my face, and thought I wasn't good enough. Her father even said not in my lifetime. When I asked for his permission to marry his daughter, which I stated the only reason I was doing it was for an olive branch. My parents on the other hand love my fiancée. They scooped her up like she was one of us from the start. Has never said anything bad about her in public, nor have they in private. She, at least in my parents' eyes, is the metaphorical second coming of Christ. During my grandfather's decline in health, I was the first one there. He just got old, and with being old comes complications. I stopped working my higher paying job to work retail to have more time to take care of him, because his other children were busy. This was a very stressful time in our relationship. I had just recently left my job, was not around often, and I, myself was super stressed. Recently, I began the slow move of everything over there. While we still have to live in our apartment until the lease agreement is up, there's nothing against the rules of me moving stuff. I brought it up to my girlfriend how taking care of my grandfather has really made me realize how important my family is, and that I wanted to know if it was okay for my parents to move into the new house with us. My dad could retire, and my mom can spend the rest of her life relaxing, not stressing over bills/debt. Because I can pay that off over time. I'm not insane enough to pay it all in one go. She expressed how that was an amazing idea, and how she'd like her parents to move in as well. I laughed at the idea, and asked her if she was serious, and why would I want to live in a house with people I don't like, nor want to interact with. She explained that this could be a good chance at us healing old wounds, and making amends. I explained that not only do I not want to heal old wounds, if it was up to me, they wouldn't be coming to the wedding. Obviously this was the wrong thing to say, and now she's giving the ultimatum of let them move in, or the wedding is off. While I can understand her side, I seriously do not want to interact with them in any capacity. They've tried numerous times to get her back with exes, lie about me, even spread a rumor about me being unfaithful, until I pulled up real evidence of me being nowhere near where they said I was thanks to Google location. My fiancé knows all of this, and still wants to try and rebuild a relationship with them. This past week, I've been avoiding her with excuses/white lies. I've been meeting with accountants, lawyers, wedding venue people, and jewelers. I've also been spending all-nighters at my grandfather's grave drinking with him, and not getting back home until 4 a.m. To me, it feels like my grandfather is still the only person I can vent my deepest secrets, and frustrations to. Which is why I've come to you, Reddit. I feel trapped. On one hand I do not want to live with people I absolutely hate, and on the other hand I do not want to lose the woman of my dreams. I want a third party's opinion on the matter, with no connection to me whatsoever, as I feel it's the best way to make a good judgment without people close to me influencing my choices. I'm more than willing to answer questions, and know how this subreddit works because I too am a pizza-eating, pimple-popping Redditor myself. Update: fiancé, 27F, threatening to call of wedding if I, M26, don't let her parents, M57/F50, move in with us after the wedding. This will be my only update post available for this subreddit. In the 48 hours since I've posted, the thing took off like a rocket ship. I'd like to start off by thanking everyone for their opinions. While the majority of you told me to leave, others offered compromises, logical alternatives, and gave me questions I didn't even think to ask myself. I'll put a TLDR at the bottom, but I probably won't need it. I think this has been the longest 48 hours of my life, reading through comments, responding to them, having meetings IRL, and talking with my fiancé have really given me clarity on what my next choices in life are going to be. 1. I've postponed the wedding. While some of you may refer to it as calling her bluff, I call it waiting and seeing. As of right now, we're really talking about how compatible we truly are, going over our goals in life again, and talking in depth about the relationship we want with our in-laws if we got married. Apparently a lot had changed since the last time we talked about it. Before I got money, some of you called it. 2. Yes, she genuinely thought moving her parents in would make my relationship with them better over time. I've expressed that as a result of all they've said/done to me, any positive relationship or communication with them will only be done out of necessity. 4. Example: if she was pregnant, in the hospital, or any life-altering complication or celebration. She did not take this well, but that was expected. But it's important I tell my truth. She believes I'll come around, and try to build a relationship with her parents, but as of right now I can't see myself doing it. 3. My parents won't be moving in, as I haven't even asked them yet. I know some of you were confused/assumed it was already happening. It was not. I asked if it was okay if they could. Not telling her it was happening. Some of you suggested that maybe moving them in as newlyweds was weird, and suggested building them a small house on property. I didn't think about that, and will talk to my accountant/parents about it whenever that conversation needs to be talked about. Nice idea, Reddit strangers. 4. What have I been doing? A lot of meetings about my future, finances, and setting up trusts/wills. I'll be re-enrolling into school to take classes on business, finances, accounting, and economics as my accountant suggested I do. We're still working on a budget, but as of right now my next steps are furthering my education to manage my newfound wealth and opportunity in a healthy way as to not blow it. As of right now, to be honest, I'm emotionally drained. I think the weight of my grandfather's death is finally hitting me despite it being months later, and the only thing that kept me going was the idea of the wedding day. With that being postponed, I can really only focus on myself, my values, and my emotions. Staying up all night and drinking at a grave site isn't healthy, and I've not only promised myself to cut back on the booze, but also not stay up drinking. I've been thinking about maybe getting into some sort of therapy/grief counseling, but I'd need to make sure that is in the budget with my accountant, as that's a long-term thing. Maybe they know someone. 5. Couples counseling. To those that suggested it, that's a wonderful idea. However, I'm not sure if I can move past her strange dependent relationship with her parents. Initially I thought I could, but with the rose-tinted goggles off I'm starting to see a lot of red flags I'm not too confident a therapist/wedding can solve. We both have issues we need to work through, but right now I'm not sure if we'll be working through them together. I know a lot of you said to drop the relationship, but I think after 6 years it's worth giving it a try to save it. Making a choice like that without trying to fix the problem seems silly, but I did expect a lot of those answers to come through. It's just how Reddit is. Just know that I know my worth, I know my values, and I'm not backing down. Maybe we won't work things out, and the relationship will just end. Maybe things will work out, and we can continue. At least for now. 48 hours later, it's too soon to tell. 6. As for the prenup, we haven't signed anything yet. A lot of you are really harping on the niece ring, and fancy vacations once a year thing. While the vacations compromise is indeed concerning, the ring issue is something we've been having conflict on for a while. My personal opinion before/now is that rings are overpriced, silly, and serve no significant purpose in a relationship. She says that they're an important symbol of love/commitment. The compromise to the prenup in regards to the ring was, I actually buy her a better ring than I already had. Which sounds super predatory in those words, but it makes sense in my mind. She doesn't want a Titanic heart of the ocean style jewelry piece, just something a bit more noticeable. I probably should have elaborated on that in my original post, but hey, we all make mistakes. Which to some sounds like gold digger mentality, but I know the price range of ring she wants, and it's about the same range my dad spent on my mom's ring. It's something you'd see on a middle-class woman's finger. Nothing huge, nothing small, just enough I guess. I still think they're just silly circles of metal and compressed dirt. There's not much to say. We sat down, talked for a while. I explained my side of things, she explained hers. She was upset I was postponing the wedding, but once she realized I wasn't going to fold, she agreed under the notion that it was best for our relationship to work on this before marriage. Right now, I'm taking a step back from her to clear the air, and give us time to formulate what we want on our own. I've driven the 2 hours to the cabin. Thankfully the internet people hooked that up yesterday. I've talked to my parents, not about them like moving in, but about the situation as a whole. Leaving out, I went to the internet before I went to them. While my dad can't just abandon his job, he sends his love and support. My mom is currently making the 18-hour drive, so I wouldn't be alone by myself. I've gotten attempted phone calls from the in-laws within the last 24 hours, but I've watched them ring and went back to doing my everyday tasks like lawn work, meal prep, reading, binge watching Netflix. It's strange, but right now I feel happier alone right now than I do with fiancée. Maybe it's some sign that it's not meant to be, or that I've finally been able to relax for the first time in years and have found comfort in solitude. Maybe I'm happy my mom is going to cook me my favorite dinner as a child to cheer me up. I think as of right now though, I have a lot of work to do, not only emotionally but also literally. I'm thinking about doing some telework just to still have a mainstream of income part-time, as I'll probably get bored of being jobless in about a week. I need some hobbies. Now on to the next story. Story 2. I have been dating my girlfriend for the last 10 months and things have moved very quickly to say the least. We started living together about 1 month into the relationship, first at my condo and now at her mom's house. Our relationship has been great overall and we both love each other a lot, though my parents disapprove because they are worried they are after me for my money. I am a physician, and she works in a fairly low-paying and unstable field. Around 5 months into the relationship, my GF and her mom started looking to buy a house for us because they felt that we were ready to get married. For me, I felt that we were moving too quickly, but I couldn't think of any reason why I didn't want to marry her, because she is so caring/sweet and I am happy with her. Anyhow, so I was initially hesitant to jump to buying a house with my GF so soon, but they were saying that the house prices will go up in the future and that they had found a plot with extremely good land and future value where we could build a home. So I decided to go along with it. We just recently finalized the purchase agreement, but don't officially own the title yet until the house is fully built. So far we only had to make the down payment of 20%, which amounts to about $203K since the house is worth 1.1 M. Because of her unstable income and she was in quite a bit of debt, I ended up having to make the entire 20% down payment, which took a $130K loan from my parents and $20K from my own bank account. It was a pretty stressful process to be honest, and my GF didn't help much. She was playing games while I was asking her how I can pay for this down payment and didn't really offer to contribute at all. I put the title of the house in my name because I felt I had contributed all the money to it. She wanted to have her name added to the title. At first I promised her I would add her name and we would split the house 50-50 without thinking. But then I talked it over with my parents and close friends and they advised me to keep the house under my name since I had put all the money in. And since we weren't yet married, they urged me to discuss this with my GF as soon as possible, which I did tonight. It made me realize I hadn't really considered what would happen if we broke up, and since we had been cohabitating for the past several months, we might be labeled as common law, which means she could claim 50% of the house. When I mentioned it to her, she got extremely upset, saying that I was being very selfish and cold-blooded and that I was questioning the future of our relationship. This was not the case at all, but I just wanted to plan for the worst-case scenario. I guess a part of me still fears being taken advantage of. She started crying and then her mom came downstairs and basically scolded me for 2 hours, saying I should not have brought this up and that I shouldn't listen to my friends or my parents because they are not always acting in my best interests and wanting to break us up. I was very taken aback by this as I felt she was attacking my friends without even knowing them. She made a point of saying I shouldn't learn from my friends. She then said me bringing up the title of the house was done in a very hurtful way, and she said I didn't have enough love in my heart that I was thinking in such calculating ways. I told her that it's easy for her to say that when they haven't put any money into it and rely solely on me to pay for the house. I mentioned it was inconsiderate of them to start shopping for a house when they didn't have a solid plan for how to pay it off except relying on me. She and her mom told me that in Chinese culture, the husband is supposed to buy the wife the house. I pointed out that we weren't even married yet, and she said me bringing this up meant I wasn't planning to marry her at all. Then she said we were basically married because we were living together, which didn't make logical sense to me. Then she tried to guilt trip me by bringing up how I was living in their house rent-free for the last few months, and I told them it was not the same as buying a 1.1 M house. They kept insisting it was the same principle and that I should give to them what they have given to me without thinking about fairness or equality since we are a family, even though we aren't married yet. I guess deep down, I do still have reservations that there is a small chance they may be conspiring to use me for my money based on the fact that they have been struggling financially and my GF has not had a stable job, and that they seem quite eager for us to get married and have kids and buy this house all within 1 year. I have expressed my concern about moving too fast, and they were always quick to discredit the opinion of my friends and family and claim that I should only listen to myself or them. They just keep asking me what are you waiting for? And won't accept my answer of, I don't know, I just need more time. Her mom told me I won't ever find someone better and that I need to put a ring on it right away. Of course, I cannot discuss my trust issue of the money with them for obvious reasons. I am feeling a bit gaslighted here, but I also feel like I could just be being cold-blooded and selfish for thinking about money and not love. Right now I am torn between feeling like I am being overly paranoid and selfish and insensitive by bringing up who owns the house, or whether I am being manipulated and gaslighted. Would appreciate an unbiased opinion here. Thanks. Update: my GF, 30F, is mad at me, 27M, for not wanting to put her name on the title of the house. Hey everyone, just wanted to update you all on what happened. So my original post was regarding me and my girlfriend buying a house together and her getting upset that I didn't want to put her name on the house title. As a brief summary, my GF and I have been together for 10 months and started to look around for houses after about 6 months together. But our relationship had moved very fast and we moved in together after 1 month. So we have spent more time together than some couples that have been together for 2 or 3 years. Not sure if this matters though. I have a very stable, high-earning job and she was initially earning a lot when we first met, but fairly soon after she had to change careers and now her income is very unstable. We found a plot of land to build a house worth 1.1 mil. I put all the money onto the down payment, though my GF's mom promised she would contribute 300K. A discussion with her about rights to the house caused her to feel hurt, and then her mom intervened and said some very manipulative things. I reminisced about our relationship. The good. She is extremely sweet and caring 99% of the time. When we first met, she bought me an iPhone and would buy me thoughtful gifts all the time. Even later when her finances were not doing as well. She is also extremely affectionate and even now always displays her affection to me, even when I'm not paying attention. Some have said this is love bombing, though it has been consistent throughout our entire relationship. That 1% was her being upset or frustrated and her tone of voice would be condescending or disrespectful, though we were always able to settle our disagreements very quickly. She was and still is a very reasonable person to talk with, and I feel like we can work together as a team to solve problems. She is very emotionally mature and often knows me better than I know myself. I have learned so much by being with her and feel I have become a more caring person and in some ways, more confident and capable. She is very thoughtful and always remembers the little things about me. She remembers all my favorite snacks and buys me them every month, until recently when finances were a struggle. Overall, when I was with her, I felt happy and full of love. We were basically inseparable. I took a trip with her recently and made unforgettable memories. The bad. There were a number of red flags. Our relationship moved very quickly. We moved in after 1 month of seeing each other. We were spending all day every day together with no boundaries. She had planned out opening up a clinic with me, as the doctor at the clinic, with a 10-year rental contract, which I would be locked into and responsible for paying overhead. I learned soon after we started dating that she was making a lot of money by working for this wealthy doctor who had a romantic interest in her. She cut off all personal contact with him after meeting me, though continued to work with him professionally even after he confessed to her. For 2 months, she told me she worked with him until she could find alternate jobs for her friends who worked under her, but it was still suspicious. That said, she never hid anything from me and I always felt I could ask her anything about this. My parents have said for months in that they didn't trust my GF or her mom, based on their words and expressions and red flags as above. Not to say Ty have always been right, but they do always have my best interests at heart. She told me very early on, about 2-3 months in, that she knew I was the one and wanted to spend the rest of her life with me. She wanted to get married but said she would wait for me whenever I was ready. While this felt nice, I also felt it was suspicious she was so ready to commit after only a short amount of time. She has always been a very headstrong, confident person who didn't question her decisions. Also, she isn't keen on doing housework and will feel tired just from cooking for a few days or washing some dishes. After reminiscing and then sitting at home alone, my heart felt empty without this person. I couldn't reconcile the person I knew and loved from who she could be on the inside, if she really was after my money. I texted her that we should break up and then found a time in person to talk and exchange our belongings. I brought up all of my concerns and told her that I simply cannot trust her anymore. To her credit, she was very respectful and gentle. It was difficult for me to face her, especially as she was extremely tearful and looked like she hadn't eaten or slept in 2 days. Despite this, she kept a loving smile on her face. On the surface, she seemed genuine. This is how the discussion went. I told her that her mom was extremely disrespectful to me, especially saying that I shouldn't listen to my friend's advice and that I was selfish and cold-blooded to bring up the issue of the house title, and rushing me towards marriage/kids. She told me that her mom was just very upset that I brought up the issue because in Chinese culture, it is considered very rude to sign any contract or separate out individual rights when it comes to property that is going to be a marriage home. She also said that her mom expected us to be married by the end of the year and so felt that the house ownership was a non-issue, and was just hurt that I mentioned having a plan in case we break up when to her. Breaking up was not a possibility, since she had invited me to live in her home. It meant she already saw me as her son-in-law. Since she was hurt, she said hurtful things without thinking. She also said that her mom was rushing us towards marriage and kids because her mom's health was not very good, history of cancer, and felt very unwell, but was afraid to get checked, and didn't think she had much longer to live. She didn't want her daughter to be alone in this world if something were to happen to her. She also said her mom had heard bad things about this friend of mine who gave me the advice to have this conversation, since I told my GF that this friend of mine cheated on his ex-girlfriend and got together with that girl. So her mother felt that my friends were a bad influence on me. She told me she herself never rushed me with marriage or kids, which is true, and it's true that she told me she didn't even like kids in the past, but wanted them because I did. She said we could get married whenever I was ready, even if that meant she had to get a stable job first. I told her that I was very stressed about making the down payment on the house and I had brought this up with them, and they said they didn't have any money at the moment to help. To be fair, her mother helped me get an extension on part of the down payment, $53K out of $203K, by talking to the builder, but expressed no intention to pay any of the down payment. She said she asked me whether I had the money to make the down payment, and I said that while difficult, I did have the means to do so. And she said she fully intended to honor her mom's promise to pay $300K toward the mortgage, but the money was not ready yet. She also said that if it meant getting back together, she would be willing to take money out to pay for half of the down payment. I told her it was too little, too late, and that her previous actions suggested she had no intention to pay at all. I asked her why they started to look around for houses before they had gotten my agreement, and they said at the time they were just browsing the market without an intention to buy. At the time, I was on board with the decision to buy a house, though we didn't discuss any concrete plan for how we would split the mortgage in the future. Also, since her mother had voiced about her culture that it was customary for the husband to buy the wife a house, I was concerned they wanted to put all the burden of paying for the house on me. I expressed that I felt unsupported by her during this time. She said she did ask me if I would be able to pay the mortgage in the future and showed me some calculations of the future mortgage. I told her it would be difficult and I may need her help, and she said she would help as much as she could, but it wouldn't be 50-50. I was okay with that. However, I told her that based on the fact that they didn't help me with the down payment, and she doesn't have a stable job right now, I could not count on her to contribute to the house in the future. She promised me she would look for a stable job in the next few months, and that we didn't need to buy the house if I didn't feel ready. Through it all she was very tearful and seemed genuine, and I was almost swayed. She brought up all the good memories we had, and soon enough I couldn't hold back my tears. Both our places were filled with the memories of things we had done and bought together. She told me she respected my decision and told me she hoped in the future I would trust my heart and not let others, family and friends, make decisions for me. We both wished each other the best in the future and parted ways. It was kind of open-ended because I did not say that there was no possibility of getting back together in the future. She told me she would wait for me if I ever changed my mind. Afterwards, I went home to my parents' house and analyzed everything that had been said, and all came to the conclusion that even though there was a chance I was wrong and I just let go of someone who truly loved me with all their heart, that there were too many red flags for me to ever fully trust her again. Also, this was the second time I had discussed breaking up with her. The first time was due to opening the clinic after 3 months, which she agreed not to do anymore, so I gave her another change. So I felt there was no returning from this. Also, my parents reassured me that I am still young and have lots of opportunities, so no need to dwell too much on the unknowns. In the end, I feel that I made the right decision, although I am lying if I said I didn't have any lingering doubts. Thanks for reading.